Admiral Sarah Chen stared at the holographic display floating before her, the serene blue glow casting shadows across her weathered face. Around the conference table aboard the neutral station Harmony's Edge, representatives from 12 galactic civilizations maintained their carefully practiced diplomatic expressions. The air recyclers hummed softly, unable to completely filter the tension that permeated the room. This peace accord represents a new dawn for our galaxy, announced Chancellor Vextar of the Zephyrian hegemony, his crystalline voice resonating through the universal translators. His insectoid mandibles clicked in what humans had learned to interpret as satisfaction. Too long have we wasted resources on meaningless conflicts. Nods of agreement rippled around the table. The avian Cathari delegate ruffled her iridescent feathers in approval. The silicon-based rock-born representatives' photoreceptors flashed in harmonic patterns. Even the usually hostile Graken ambassador seemed to have set aside his species' notorious aggression. Admiral Chen kept her expression neutral, but her mind raced. Something was wrong. Deeply, fundamentally wrong. The terms are generous, continued Ambassador Teleth of the Aquarian Coalition, his gills fluttering as he spoke. Full cessation of hostilities, shared technology transfers, and open trade routes throughout the spiral arm sectors. Too generous, Chen thought. The humans had been fighting a three-front war against the Zephyrians, Graken, and a coalition of smaller species for nearly a decade. Earth's colonies were stretched thin, their resources depleted. Yet here sat their enemies, offering not just peace, but what amounted to a surrender on terms far too favorable for humanity. We appreciate the galaxy's sudden change of heart, Chen said carefully, her words measured. However, the Human Federation requires time to review these terms with our leadership. A subtle shift occurred around the table. The slightest tightening of shoulders, the briefest pause in breathing patterns that most species wouldn't notice. But humans had spent millennia reading micro-expressions, body language, and the 1,000 tiny tells that revealed deception. Chen's enhanced neural implants, standard for all Federation officers, cataloged each reaction. Chancellor Vexitar's compound eyes fixed on her. Surely, Admiral, humanity recognizes an unprecedented opportunity when presented with one. Our offers of technological exchange alone would advance your civilization by centuries. Indeed, Chen replied, her tone deliberately thoughtful. One might wonder why such generous terms are being offered to what you've consistently described as an inferior species. The Graken ambassador, General Korth, leaned forward. His scarred carapace bore the marks of countless battles, including several against human forces. Perhaps we have reconsidered our assessment of human capabilities. Chen almost smiled. Almost. She'd spent the last hour analyzing not just what was being said, but what wasn't. The Zephyrians had never offered technology transfers before. Their culture considered it contamination of lesser species. The Graken had literally declared humanity a virus to be purged just 6 months ago. The Aquarians had spent decades claiming human expansion violated their sacred spawning routes. Now they all sat together, offering humanity everything it could want. There is, of course, one small requirement, Teleth added, almost casually. As a gesture of good faith, humanity would need to provide detailed star charts of your defensive positions and fleet deployments for verification of your commitment to peace. There it was. Chen's implants had been recording everything. voice stress patterns, micro-movements, even electromagnetic field fluctuations from the various aliens' bioelectric fields. The data painted a clear picture, synchronized deception on a massive scale. "Fascinating," she said aloud. "You know, there's an old human saying, if something seems too good to be true, it probably is." The room fell silent. Chen stood slowly, her hand resting casually near her sidearm. "You want our defensive positions because you've already positioned your fleets for a coordinated strike. The peace talks were just a way to get our guard down and extract intelligence." Chancellor Vextar's mandibles clicked rapidly, the Zephyrian equivalent of nervous laughter. "Admiral, such paranoia is—" "Not paranoia," Chen interrupted. "Pattern recognition. Humans excel at it. We spent millions of years as prey animals, learning to spot predators and traps. That instinct didn't disappear when we reached the stars. It evolved." She activated her communicator. "All Federation vessels, this is Admiral Chen. Implement Protocol Omega immediately. We are not at peace." Around the table, the alien delegates began to rise, their diplomatic masks finally slipping. The Graken ambassador's hand moved toward his weapon, but Chen was faster, a human trait their enemies consistently underestimated. "The funny thing about being prey," she said, her pistol trained on General Korth while her free hand continued, working the communicator, "is that you learn to bite back. Hard." The station's proximity alarms began wailing as Federation ships dropped out of hyperspace around Harmony's edge. Chen had suspected this meeting was a trap from the moment it was proposed. Her escort of 3 ships had been a deliberate misdirection. The real Fleet Admiral Martinez was arriving with 2 full battle groups. "You see," Chen continued, backing toward the exit as her security detail flooded the room, "humans have another saying, trust, but verify. We've been monitoring your fleet movements for weeks. We know about the massed armadas waiting at the edge of our territory." The truth was written across every alien face in the room. Shock, fear, and growing respect. They had underestimated humanity again, mistaking their social nature and desire for peace as weakness rather than choice. "The real tragedy," Chen said as she reached the doorway, "is that we genuinely would have accepted a real peace, but you couldn't resist trying to be clever." As the first explosions echoed through the station's hull, the opening salvos of what historians would later call the Battle of Broken Faith, Admiral Chen reflected on the irony. The galaxy had indeed proposed peace, but only as a prelude to genocide. They had forgotten that humans weren't just social creatures capable of cooperation and diplomacy. They were also the descendants of apex predators who had clawed their way to the top of their food chain through intelligence, adaptability, and an uncanny ability to sense when something wanted them dead. The galaxy had spotted an opportunity. Humanity had spotted the trap. The difference would prove decisive.